Good Tuesday morning. It is June 23rd. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, and you found us here at the Weather Desk. We broadcast from the 13 News Now studios, and we're glad you're with us, whether you're finding us on our mobile app, maybe you're finding us digitally on our website, or the app, of course, 13 News Now. As we take a look, you may be finding us on YouTube. So much to break down today, where we always tackle today's top weather headlines. I want to get into our specifics for today. Hampton Roads, we have a weather impact alert. We're looking at another round of very heavy rain across the area. We've been rain starved. We've needed the rain, but it came down in buckets late last night, and we've got another round of heavy rain coming up. We're also going to have storm recaps, talking about some of the storms that have occurred, not only here locally, but nationally, and what's coming up. There are additional opportunities for severe storms for Hampton Roads and for other areas as well across the country. So we'll break all that down. We're going to have the full tropical update. We're going to talk about fires down in Houston, just southwest of Houston, and East LA, leading to some serious air quality concerns for those metropolitan areas. So we'll talk about all that. There's more rain in the forecast, that heavy rain that's coming up today. We'll talk about how much we anticipate getting, and you might wonder, is this making a dent in our drought? We'll talk about that as well. And I've got the week ahead for Hampton Roads. There's some really good stuff to look forward to tomorrow, and we'll talk about some more rain chances later in the week and into the weekend. So all of that is coming up over this next half hour from the Weather Desk. Let's go ahead and start off with our weather impact alert. These tall ships, part of Sail 250, they are about to move out. I was seeing some of the tugs coming around. They've got pilots that will escort these ships out as they move on to their next destination in Sail 250. It was a fantastic Harbor Fest weekend, but you know, these ship captains and the navies that they are affiliated with, these are all international ships. They are paying close attention to the weather, and here's why. We do have the potential for more strong storms developing into the early to mid-afternoon. So they're going to move out this morning around 10 o'clock or so, and they are going to try to get out and beat some of these storms that are coming in. From 1 o'clock this afternoon until 11 p.m. tonight, we have a weather impact alert for damaging winds, heavy downpours, and even the threat of an isolated tornado. We could see one or two of those popping up. You need to stay weather aware. That's the most important thing, and we're going to talk about some other specific things you should think about doing later today when the storms develop. Now, again, the primary concern here is going to be excessive rainfall. When I first came in, that was really what I was keying on as I was looking at how much moisture there is in the atmosphere and how warm it's going to be. We've got an approaching front coming through, and that is going to trigger very heavy downpours. We'll talk rainfall amounts in just a bit. Not concerned about hail with this round. There will be potentially some damaging wind gusts. We saw that last night. Some parts of our region were hit with some damaging winds, and we'll show you some video coming up here. We also have to be mindful there could be a couple of isolated tornadoes. So confidence is pretty high. We're going to deal with these rough storms later on. Right now, nothing severe, just some rain out to the west. You can see back across portions of Louisiana into southwest Arkansas and just into the Oklahoma, Texas area right there, northeast Texas. Some very intense storms, some flooding, severe thunderstorm warning here in western Oklahoma, and flood warnings back up across portions of western Kansas. So basically there's a frontal boundary here, and it kind of loops back. High pressure's in control here. The weather's going to be very nice in this part of the country, but all around where we have that frontal boundary and extending back here, this is where the severe weather threats are going to be. High pressure dominating, building in, setting up a couple of really nice days here in Hampton Roads after this system clears, but it's going to be this system that's going to bring our chances for severe storms. So a couple areas we're going to come back and focus on the national severe outlook in a bit. I want to focus on Hampton Roads with our weather impact alert. You can see the entire southeast Virginia and northeast and really eastern North Carolina, these areas under a level 2 or slight risk for severe storms. You get up towards Richmond, areas out through Farmville, South Boston, Raleigh, those areas under a level 1 or marginal threat. But these areas here across our immediate viewing area, we are bracing for those strong storms. Now, as I mentioned, we're not really concerned with hail, but we do have the potential for gusty, damaging winds. And we saw some of that, again, last night and early this morning. And there's that just first elevated level, but a little elevated level of potential rotating storms and tornadoes. So we're going to be watching for this very carefully as we go along. Now, we have this weather impact alert. We already had a rough round of this. We've got some video to share with you from overnight storms that swept through Hampton Roads, bringing very strong winds and the heavy rain. Trees and power lines were knocked down in several neighborhoods, leaving damage behind. This is video from along Welton Road in Hampton. We spoke with one homeowner who says he knows this could have been much worse, and he's grateful his home was spared.
I'm blessed because my son's room is right there, you know, and so we got lucky. The boat and the car, I mean, we can deal with that, but I'm just blessed that it didn't actually hit the house and cause more damage.
We're also getting a look at storm damage in northern Virginia. And I'll tell you what, they've had some trees down there on the tops of homes and cars. It's been a problem. We're getting more of that information in, and we'll continue to follow those stories as well. Now, as of this morning, more than 700 people are still without power in the area. We have Dominion Energy's outage map, and most of the outages are impacting people in Portsmouth and Hampton. During the peak of the storm, there were 3,000 outages in Hampton Roads. So a lot of that creating some big issues. Now, as we look forward, the next round, you talk about the potential for excessive rainfall. You can see our immediate Hampton Roads area, the metro, under the second elevated tier for flash flooding or excessive rainfall. So that means it's likely here. Possible down around the Albemarle Sound, possible out towards Emporia, Roanoke Rapids, these areas kind of outlying, but it's likely that we will have some excessive rainfall. Now, as far as the futurecast rainfall totals go, you can see through 2:30, most of it's going to be out to the west. This is through this afternoon. As we get into the middle part of the afternoon, by 3:30, half an inch up to half an inch for some of these areas. So rain just really starting. But once you get into the 5, 6 o'clock hours, this is where we start to see some of those heavier amounts. And this is an updated model output. You know, earlier we were looking 1 to 2 inches across Norfolk. They backed off a little bit, kind of indicating there might be a little dry slot there. Don't, you know, bet the house on that. There may be some breaks. There'll be some areas that don't get as much, but you could also see 1 to 2 inches. This area kind of here, a little farther north or south. And look at just off to our north, 4 to 6 inches projected by the models there across the eastern shore. Don't know that we'll see that much either, but the bottom line is 2 to 4 inches, 1 to 2, 4 to 6. Some of these incredibly heavy rainfall amounts will be developing and moving across our region. So I want everybody here that is watching in southeast Virginia and northeast North Carolina to know the potentials there for this excessive rainfall. Really want folks to take it seriously and stay aware of what's going on. Now, our chances for rain, near certainty this afternoon. We're going to see heavy rain and strong storms. Some of those storms, again, with the gusty winds and maybe some rotation or some isolated tornadoes, not out of the question. Best chances are going to come between, say, 1:30 and 2 out to the west, across the metro area in Norfolk through the evening rush hour, and then things are going to taper off later this evening. It's going to be beautiful as we go into the day tomorrow. Once that front clears, drier air moves in, we've got a lot of sunshine. For the evening commute, rain in the forecast and storms, it's going to be heavy. I am concerned that we're going to have a really complicated evening commute as folks are trying to come home. They may be dealing with ponding on the road, some standing water. That could really lead to some issues. So we just want folks to know about that. So what can you do? All right, this is what I would suggest with the flooding and the gusty winds potentially this afternoon and into the evening. Excessive rain, damaging gusts, isolated tornadoes, all possibilities. The most important things you could do, Continue to watch 13 News Now and this streaming app where you're finding us right now for more updates on what is actually developing. We'll have special extended weather coverage if we do start seeing the stronger storms that we anticipate and some of those warnings start getting issued. You want to make sure before the rough weather gets here that you have the batteries on your mobile devices charged up. Could be phones, tablets, whatever. If you've got extra power banks, I always like to keep a power bank with me fully charged when storms come in case you lose power. And as I just mentioned, there were thousands without power last night with the previous round of storms. I expect some stronger storms across the area later today. And the other thing is have multiple ways to get your weather alerts. Certainly keep the TV tuned in and, again, stream with our app. You'll get those updates. But if you have our mobile app, the 13 News Now mobile app, it's a great way to have access to our radars and to push alerts if there are warnings issued. It's also a good idea to have a NOAA weather radio. I always highly recommend that. So again, we've got our severe storm threat here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, there were deadly storms across the country. We're going to talk about where tornadoes touched down, and we're going to look at the severe weather outlook coming up. We also have an emotional rescue attempt as a man in Illinois tries to save his neighbors mid-storm.
She was on the porch, and she went in right before the storm hit. I don't think she even knew it was coming.
Welcome back to the Weather Desk. All right, so we just focused on our severe weather outlook here. But again, the Weather Desk just doesn't only focus on Hampton Roads. We take a look at big national weather stories as well. And we're going to get back into the national severe weather outlook. I did want to talk a little bit farther because we focus so much on Southeast Virginia, Northeast North Carolina. For folks down to the south into North Carolina, you also have to be concerned with damaging wind gusts. Again, south of the Albemarle Sound down through the southern Outer Banks and Ocracoke. Then it drops off. Once you get down towards Beaufort, you pick up kind of that second tier of elevated threat with wind. And then there's some threat, but it's not as great from Wilmington to Raleigh. So that's the severe weather outlook for wind. Again, the tornado potential greatest for Northeast North Carolina. As you go farther south, you don't have to worry as much about that. And hail is not an issue for the mid-Atlantic with these storms coming through. Where it will be an issue is back here across eastern Colorado and into southeast Wyoming there. We'll take a closer look. Level 2 First of the severe weather outlook, all the way down through Oklahoma, Kansas, the panhandles, Texas and Oklahoma. And then you can see that kind of broader area with a marginal or level 1 threat all the way up into Minnesota. But we want to focus on this area here. Really nasty weather. They do have the potential for very large hail around areas just off to the east of Denver and all the way down, again, into the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. Wind will also be a big concern there. Now, the tornado potential is greatest right here, again, for portions of Colorado and Wyoming down through Texas and Oklahoma, also parts of Wisconsin, or Minnesota rather, into North Dakota. Earlier, they had kind of a second tier, a second level, so they backed off just a little bit, the Storm Prediction Center has, but still anywhere from Denver out towards Lehman and around Sterling, Fort Collins, Cheyenne, all the way up to just south of Casper. These areas need to be mindful there could be tornadoes. That's for today. Now, for tomorrow, you can see the threat still there over eastern Colorado, again around Cheyenne, back into western portions of Nebraska, Kansas, and Texas. Level 1 threat all the way back down through Arkansas, Mississippi, southwest Missouri, and there you have part of Wisconsin. As we look ahead to Thursday, you still have a severe weather threat in this part of the country. So we're talking 3 really rough days there for portions of Wyoming and Colorado, back through the panhandles, Texas, Oklahoma, much of Kansas, and southwest Missouri. This is going to be a hot zone for activity. You'll notice things much quieter along the mid-Atlantic and the eastern U.S. as that high pressure builds there. But on the backside of this, it's still a mess. Now, this area has already been hit so hard, portions of the Midwest, and I want to talk to you a little bit more because the storm system that we're looking at hitting our area later today is putting nearly 60 million people on alert. Torrential rain, flash flooding, and tornadoes. It's been bad across the country. Take a look at this video. In Indiana, terrifying video capturing a tornado ripping through a neighborhood, damaging apartment buildings. Another twister tossing backyard furniture like they were toys. I mean, look at that. And what an amazing video clip there of that tornado. I'll tell you what, in Oklahoma, a powerful storm unleashed wind gusts over 90 miles per hour, destroying homes and toppling trees. Since Friday, more than 50 reported tornadoes tearing across 9 states. There was a derecho as well. And again, just that broad area of wind did a lot of damage. Now, several of those reported in Illinois were, several of those tornadoes were reported in Illinois, where at least 3 people are now confirmed dead, including 2 from Jefferson County after tornadoes ripped through the area Sunday. The twister registered as an EF3, according to the National Weather Service. Devin Kidd shares how neighbors attempted to save a woman's life mid-storm.
I knew we had to go get her because we couldn't leave her there. And we got there, but we didn't get there in time.
Rodney Gass has lived next door to Dolores Shelton for 35 years.
She was on the porch, and she went in right before the storm hit. I don't think she even knew it was coming because it was so quiet and it hit so quickly.
As the tornado approached, Rodney, along with his wife and son Jacob, jumped into their pickup truck to try and get to Dolores, who they lovingly referred to as Bunny. But unfortunately, it was too late.
We pulled up in the yard, and the limbs started falling where we couldn't go to the door, and so I started to back up to go, and the truck started turning. Then the tornado got right on top of us and started turning the truck, and limbs started hitting, and we all got hit in the head when the limb hit the truck and it caved the cab in.
Rodney says when they got out of the truck, they couldn't believe what they saw.
I got out and I looked around and I realized that the house was gone, and it's just 4 or 5 seconds. And the house and the garage and everything was gone. The car in the garage was turned upside down on one side of us, and her side by side was upside down on the other side of us. And the house, there was nothing at all left of the house. It just, not even a board.
Rodney's son Jacob was released from the hospital late last night after receiving a head injury.
You can see my big bumps on my head and everything. The truck was spinning. We got thrown around in the truck really bad. Glass was shattering, flying everywhere all over us.
As the tornado continued to move east, Rodney and Jacob searched for Dolores. She was later found unresponsive in the field across the road. Rodney says he had no choice but to give it a shot to save his beloved neighbor.
We don't have a shelter, and we thought we better go and get Bunny.
Rodney is urging everyone to take tornado warnings seriously because every second matters.
When the alarm goes off on your phone or on the TV, better look outside. You know, we ignore them because it happens so much, we ignore them, but we need to pay attention because just seconds, you don't have time. We didn't hear it until it was here.
It is so important to heed those warnings and to take action immediately. Again, our weather team will be watching this. Taylor's working through the afternoon at 13 News Now, and then Evan and Tim Pandagis will keep you covered through the peak of that prime time for storms here in Hampton Roads, again, this afternoon and through the middle part of the evening. Fortunately, with all of this going on in terms of severe weather threats and everything else, we're getting a little break right now in the Atlantic Basin. As we take a look at the Gulf, we look at the Caribbean and the main development region, there's really no tropical activity expected over the next 7 days here. So that is good news. As we turn our attention over to the Eastern Pacific, a little different story. We've got a system here that is looking like it's starting to come together, better chances for development. The Hurricane Center now says a 40% chance of development within the next couple of days. I think that's going to go up. It's already starting to look better organized. There's a second area down to the south that is going to take a little bit of time, at least a couple of days, and then within the next 7 days, kind of a 40% chance that that could develop. Again, none of these a threat to Mexico as they're already offshore and farther moving away, and they're nowhere close to Hawaii or anything. But it is something that we'll continue to monitor, and we'll let you know what's going on in both of the basins. All right, we're going to take a break. Coming up, we've got 6 days of burning, and it's still going on while this California fire is so hard to put out and the health concerns growing nearby. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. Right now, just in the southwest part of Houston, there is a massive recycling plant burning. The fire started yesterday and was still going as of 9 o'clock this morning. You can see the thick smoke, which people report seeing for miles. Officials say the facility primarily stores metal. The health department is monitoring air quality, and so far levels remain normal That's good news. No injuries have been reported. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Now we're going to turn to California, and it's a different situation there. The smoke continues to impact communities around East LA near Boyle Heights. Take a look at this. This was a cold storage facility. The fire's been burning for 6 days. Heavy amounts of smoke, where a typical wild or warehouse fire can be put out in about a day or so. Officials say a cold storage fire can take weeks. And now people living nearby are worried about the lasting health concerns. Joy Benedict reports.
A smoky haze blankets the streets of East LA and Boyle Heights for the 6th day.
If we need the purifier because he has asthma.
But for the first time, county and community organizations were going door to door.
Gracias.
I feel like all of us are getting affected badly. Like sometimes our eyes will be tearing up, our throats.
Juan Martinez lives 2 blocks from the Lineage cold storage facility that has been burning since Wednesday. Supervisor Hilda Solis's office dropped off an air purifier.
We cannot be breathing this, for 6 days already. It's just bad.
Have you thought about leaving?
We can't. we can't. No, it's too expensive to rent a hotel.
A feeling also felt a block away by the Hernandez family, which received boxes of masks.
My wife's been having headache for the last couple days, and it's just horrible right here. It's like a war zone.
Meanwhile, firefighters are working around the clock, 150 firefighters on shift trying to stop the burning.
This fire was on the roof on the solar panel, is what we found. So, like I mentioned, it's not a typical fire that we go to. This is something that we have to be creative.
The company that operates the warehouse says solar panels on top of the 500-square-foot building started burning Wednesday, destroying the structural integrity and preventing an interior attack.
We've got aisles in stacks of racks that have food and pallets that go from the ground all the way up 50 to 60 feet up in the air, with 85 million pounds of food in that building.
Monday, they knocked down part of the wall and have been using the firefighting robot to go inside.
We removed portions of the exterior alongside the perimeter of that building to be able to lob thousands of gallons of water into that fire to be able to extinguish it.
But for those nearby, the air quality is dangerous. LAUSD moved summer programs from 4 schools to other areas, and 11 more schools are on indoor activities only. And hundreds of people showed up at a resource fair held by the county less than a mile from the fire.
We want residents in this community to receive help where they live, where they need it the most, right in their neighborhoods.
They collected food, masks, and purifiers, but emergency services only had a few hundred, not nearly enough for the hundreds of families living under a cloud of smoke.
It's going on too long already. They should have did this a long time ago.
A very difficult situation. We will continue to follow that one over the coming days. What we have for you right now, we want to address how dry it's been and the fact that we need this rain. Extreme drought out to the west, severe drought for most of Hampton Roads. This is good. This rain that we've had yesterday, over an inch at Norfolk, almost an inch and a half around Wakefield. We had heavy rain at West Point and back towards Richmond, much of the area getting that heavy rain yesterday. As we take a look, the outlook for potential excessive rain, greatest around the metro. We touched on this earlier. I want to time it out for you, and we'll talk rainfall projections. You'll notice around 1 o'clock, storms starting to develop out to the west. We could get a couple heavier cells closer to the metro as well. By 3 o'clock, we're seeing more widespread development, and really the best time for that heavier rain between 3:30 and, say, 5 or 6. Out to the west, then pushing closer to the coast by 6 and 7. Very intense rainfall. That first heavy area moves out. Some lingering heavy downpours through 8:30, 9 o'clock. By 10 or 11, most of it should be winding down, and we'll see a lot more sunshine coming up tomorrow with lower humidity. Again, rainfall could be very, very heavy, producing some flash flooding. That's going to be a concern. All the models projecting heavy rain. The herd did not come in yet, so this is what we've got right now. Again, projections, heavy rain. Fortunately, that's going to keep our pollens down a little bit. Now, the 7-day forecast, we're in for a couple beautiful days. We just have to stay weather aware, get through the storms. Another chance for storms heading into the weekend. All this rain will make a difference in our drought situation. Stay tuned to 13 News throughout the day. and here on the app. We'll see you next time from the Weather Desk.